FUTV Live, good morning everybody, welcome along the last day of April before we enter a manic May month for Manchester United, where nearly every single transfer deal of significance is pending on 3 games in the Europa League. Semi-finals and final, hopefully United get through them all. But what happens to Manchester United without the Champions League? That's something we have been talking about. So look, there are deals that need to be done, and we're talking Antony and Marcus Rashford this morning, that even without the Champions League need to happen anyway. So we're not talking about that and complications that have come up with possible bids for both players. Now, we'll start with Marcus Rashford. We'll start with Antony and the details of them. We'll get into other deals on Manchester United throughout the show. We'll have our live section, comments and everything involved in that. So please do get your conversations going in the live chat, and I'll come to some of your points after I've gone through the news first of all. So anyone watching later on, as always, here's your first bit of news now and everything that you need to be up to date with everything going on with Manchester United. Antony and Marcus Rashford. Let's just break these two players down now and where we're up to. Obviously, on the Marcus Rashford side of things and everything that's happening with him right now, coming back probably from injury from Aston Villa, and we discussed yesterday how Marcus Rashford now probably won't play another game this season. He's looking to try and get fit for the England international friendlies at the end of the season, and that is it. That's Rashford's season done. We can't see him getting fit for the 18th of May, which is his last possible chance to play for Aston Villa this season. So, where are we at with this right now? Well, news came out last night and reports came out that last night, obviously, Marcus Rashford, first of all, through the day, said that, or apparently said, and reports were saying that he is willing to take a pay cut, doesn't want to move to Aston Villa. It's been made very, very clear that he doesn't want that move to Villa Park next season. And this apparently was always clear with everybody. So everyone has just said things in front of camera that were necessary. He wants to move to Barcelona. Okay, right, so Barcelona, their situation, maybe winning the Champions League gets them a bit of money. Moving back to the Camp Nou gets them even more money. But their financial situation is such that they are willing to take Marcus Rashford. But the latest from last night is that Manchester United won't be getting anywhere near 40 million if Rashford goes to Barcelona. So straight away now we've got a problem. And I think Marcus Rashford is obviously, well, I'm hoping he's obviously realising that he cannot get what he wants when he wants to move from Manchester United this summer. He cannot just pick whichever team he wants or thinks he should be playing there because he feels he's at that certain level. But the situation and the reality is that Barcelona don't have a lot of money. Marcus Rashford hasn't really done much, like I just said, to prove anywhere near the value that Manchester United want for him, and they're not gonna pay. So when we look at this now, when we break this deal down for Marcus Rashford, if, for instance, Barcelona don't want to pay 40 million, what do they want to pay? That will be the next episode in this saga if it is going to drag on like this. But again, all of this going on is a problem for Manchester United because we need that Marcus Rashford money in to work with what we need for Ruben Amorim this summer. So say for instance they want to only offer 30 million for Marcus. I don't even know what they're willing to bid. It's an absolute joke how, again, Manchester United are coming to the table and trying to sell a player and we cannot move him on at the right price. Again, it comes down to, obviously, poor recruitment for Manchester United on some players. Obviously, Marcus Rashford is an academy player, and United would have hoped to have got more. He was a £70 million striker off the back of Erik ten Hag's first season at Manchester United, and then he just completely went off the rails, and we've lost all value in the player. That probably is because of the way that United were run and how we treat our players, and now we've come into a part of the this season when Ruben Amorim obviously exiled Marcus Rashford, didn't want him anywhere near his team, could see what he was all about, and trying to save his own bacon has caused Manchester United a problem in moving Rashford on. Now, Villa have done well with him, and I don't know if the situation will develop later in the summer and they come back in with some other bid for Marcus Rashford. But if he wants to move to Barcelona, then he is going to scup on Manchester United getting any deal. And it's going to come down to who actually bluffs first, because Manchester United are only going to stick to their price. They need a certain amount of money for Marcus Rashford. I don't even think we would be desperate enough to try and sell him on the cheap just to get rid of him. The way that Ineos operate, it doesn't work that way. So we would want to get maximum value for Manchester United and our transfer funds. Because like we said before, if Marcus Rashford is still owed around about 20 million on his contract and that needs to be paid off, any sort of deal for Marcus Rashford would give you barely any profit whatsoever. And again, idiots at this football club that have given Marcus Rashford this contract, idiots that are gone now, by the way, so I can safely say that, and clearly showing why they have been let go by someone who wants to run the football club properly. I've left Manchester United once again in an absolute hole, because Marcus Rashford's only worth what someone's willing to pay for him, like in any walk of life. And right now, when you look at his stats, he probably is a maximum £40 million player. But Barcelona know that Manchester United are struggling. They know that if we don't win the Europa League, then they can take us to the cleaners. They can get whatever they want out of us, because he doesn't want to go anywhere else, apparently. And he is going to be a problem. The only side to this that I have said many times before, actually, that works for United is that we know that Ruben Amorim does not like Rashford, and the relationship is dead. And if Rashford comes back, then he's just going to be sat on his ass doing nothing, and he's not going to play in the World Cup. That is the only hope that we have as fans, that something can get sorted with Rashford and Manchester United this summer. If he's not willing to go to Aston Villa, he's probably got word from his agent that he can possibly get a move to Barcelona in the summer, and it's easier to get a move to Barcelona in the summer. I think the move for Rashford now is looking like to Aston Villa. He's looking like, look, we needed to get somewhere so we could get into Tuchel's mindset, and they've managed to do that. He's played okay at Villa, and he's back in the England squad and in that fold, so that bit is done. So now they're moving on to stage 2, which is he'll probably play in a couple of the friendlies coming up and be involved again, and then he's going to start looking for a move elsewhere. Now, he wants the Barcelona move, but again, it all comes down to Manchester United and the Champions League. If we're in the Champions League, maybe we will be able to come up with some form of package for Barcelona. But they are going to have to up their price. 40 million is a minimum for Manchester United. When Rashford's willing to drop his wages to go to Barcelona after everything that this club has given him, you'd have thought that he would have actually tried to actually make something happen and make something work a little bit easier. He's picking one club, and that's it. So now that gives the opportunity to Barcelona to really go in and negotiate hard on Manchester United. So that, I think, is a big, big problem for Ruben Amorim, because obviously everything that we have been talking about this summer is reliant on certain players leaving Manchester United. And let's be honest, everybody wants Manchester United to be getting rid of Marcus Rashford. Everybody wants this deal done and finalised and over the line. And what we do need is Marcus Rashford at a reasonable price, out of the door, gone from Manchester United, and we can move forward. It just doesn't look like that's going to happen. And I'm pretty certain that Manchester United are the only bleeding club on the planet that has this issue with players and getting rid of players. Again, just examples all over the place. And it's the same with the Antony situation right now. Now, the Antony situation is a little bit different in that we are now looking at Real Betis and new league rules coming in from La Liga that beforehand gave them the opportunity to pay in instalments to get players over the line. That is now not there for Real Betis, and Real Betis cannot afford to buy Antony. Every single story that comes out right now is that Real Betis cannot afford Antony. It is only a loan. They are doing everything that they possibly can to just get this loan over the line for Antony again for next season. United can't afford to have another loan deal unless they get significant promises that the finances will come later on. So if Real Betis in one of their better seasons this season can't afford Antony now, what gives you the hope that they can afford him next summer? If they are now not able to structure a deal through their own league's financial rules and regulations, are they ever going to be able to afford Antony? And then Manchester United now are looking at two players that both want to move to La Liga, that only want to move to La Liga. I mean, Antony, we don't know yet. He may want to move elsewhere. There may be another opportunity for Antony at another club that comes around that appeals to him. But you've got Rashford, who wants to go to Barcelona, and Betis, who want Antony, and Antony wants to stay at Betis. He loves it at Real Betis. And you can't really blame Antony on his side of things. I think he has done it professionally, where Rashford has been a nightmare. But Antony not being affordable for Real Betis does cause Manchester United a problem, because if Antony wants to dig his heels in as well, and obviously wants to move to Real Betis and make that happen, then United are stuck with two players that have chosen clubs that Manchester United cannot get a lot of money out of, that they really need to fund their summer and their transfer window. And that, I think, is the problem that Manchester United have got now going into the summer. We really do need to, I think, get to work very early. If it is a loan deal for Antony, there needs to be a loan fee on top of it. And it needs to cover the majority of the payments that we need to make for Antony this summer. United can ill afford to be, I would say, having players on loan continuously because nobody can afford them. I don't want to go on about it too much, but everything that happened before and all of the transfer dealings and management of this football club before is really coming home to roost on Manchester United right now. And what we are dealing with, and I think what we might have to do looking at these reports, is actually take the biggest hit and just try and get these players out of the door. But it just means that the finances are just they're going to be minimal going into the summer. And again, more and more pressure on Manchester United to actually get into the Champions League. The more you think about it and look at possibilities of Manchester United's transfer dealings this summer without the Champions League, the more you realise what we're up against. Now, United have saved an awful lot of money with the cuts that they have made throughout, and this is why they're in a decent position now to go for Cunha and possibly Delap if he wants to come to United. But the other deals in other key areas for Manchester United and actually balancing books by getting players off the wage bill is becoming more and more difficult. And I just feel like the Antony situation and Rashford one now look like they're going to drag on throughout the summer and are going to be a big problem for Manchester United. Where both players have done okay on loan, you'd have thought that this would have helped Manchester United, but such is the significance of how poorly these transfers and these players and their deals, what they've got at Manchester United were done, is it really is, no matter what, just going to turn into a nightmare for Manchester United in getting these players out of the door. My hope is on this one, and there is talks of Antony in particular going to Atletico Madrid. That would be Manchester United's ideal scenario right now. They're in a different financial situation to United. They can afford Antony's wages. They can afford the transfer fee that Manchester United want for Antony. And as long as he keeps on doing what he's doing, there is always that chance that Antony can actually move to another La Liga club. Now, Juventus are also interested in him. Obviously, with them letting go of Vlahovic as well and the massive wages that he has got, they can afford Antony also. And looks like their turnaround with Tudor coming in as the manager after Motta being let go are looking like they're going to be back in the Champions League, which brings them the money as well to invest in the summer. Two possibilities for Antony there, and that's why he isn't as bad as the Rashford situation. But Marcus Rashford is standing firm on Barcelona, and if he wants to go there and says he doesn't want to go anywhere else, then United have to deal with Barcelona, which they don't like doing. Deals between United and Barcelona are few and far between ever since the days that we did them dirty with the David Beckham situation. And that, I don't think United have ever done a deal with Barcelona since, anything of significance anyway. And I just fear that Manchester United right now are going into a world that they don't want to with Marcus Rashford, and he is dragging us through into this, which is going to be a saga we don't need this summer. It really is. So that, I think, is the biggest issue for Manchester United this summer. It is the Rashford one. Antony, hopefully, like I just said, there are alternatives, but it doesn't look like there is one for Rashford. Nobody else has come in for him, and he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He thinks he should be playing at the elite level, and that's the problem United have got. Let's get into the comment section on this now. I'll give you your chance in the live chat to have your say on all of these situations coming around. We have got other news we're going to get through as well. Big shout out to the man himself, the mod, Mr Gray. Happy birthday, my friend. I hope you have a fantastic day. And there is plenty of Guinness already flowing. Well, probably not right now, but it won't be long, will it, mate? But yeah, happy birthday to Mod Gray. Make sure that you drop your birthday wishes into the chats. If you have been with the channel a long time, you know that Gray has been here a while with us. So yeah, happy birthday, Gray. Have a good one, buddy. Manny with a super chat. First of all, if we can't sell Rashford or Antony, we're in a tight spot. Did Amorim actually say that he wanted Gyökeres, or did he say he wanted a sporting star? That's a sporting star. B Trincao. Watch this space. No, mate, it was Gyökeres. It has been well documented that it is. You might have to let that Trincao one go for a little bit, Manny, I'm afraid, my man. But we will see. We will see. Like, everything can happen. Everything can change within this transfer window for Manchester United yet. And obviously, the Cunha deal, I think, is putting a a stop to any other 10 deals right now. I think United would like a player in each position that they need, and then anything extra, I think they're going to overload an area that they think really needs that difference. Personally, for me, the position in Man United's team that needs more than 2 players bringing in this summer is a 9. We need 2 strikers. I would love it to be the likes of Delap and Gyökeres. But that all comes if United win the Champions League. So we win the Europa League and get in the Champions League. So that, I think, is the stopper on that one. Cunha wants to come anyway. So United have got their 10. I don't see a Trincao, a Shirkey, as much as I want them players coming in just yet. I think the other areas are going to be hit first. So we need players in a few positions. And then we'll go back, if that makes sense, to another position where we think we need a few more options, like the 9 that I just mentioned as well. Rashford will be essential when Amorim gets the sack next season and new manager comes in, says Ken, throwing the doom and gloom on there on that one, Ken. Barca use Rashford as the most forward player to stretch the play. Not rocket science. It gives the creative players space to operate. Let's not make hate overlook what he can actually do. I think that you must be talking to somebody else there, mate, because I've got nothing to say about that, Nuke. It might be somebody else in the chat. To be honest, mate, it doesn't really matter. I think the deal with Marcus Rashford right now is how he's dragging this club through the mud and getting the deal done. If he gets to Barcelona, yeah, we'll talk about how he fits and what he can actually do at Barcelona. And I said last night, maybe if Rafinha is sold, like rumours are saying, Lewandowski is not getting any younger, then maybe is room for Rashford in there on a cheap deal for Barcelona. But the issue that we're talking about is what it leaves United with, not what he can do for Barca. So, yeah, forget about the hate, right, for Marcus Rashford, but let's not forget what this man has done at Manchester United. Might speak to my gaffer this morning and say I want his job and only his job, and then make it happen. Yeah, the football world is a completely different world, isn't it? Honestly, what these players get and how much they can demand from football clubs is scary, isn't it? It really is, and it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like the power that players have got these days in football. In how the likes of Liam Delap can have one season in the Premier League and then say, oh, I need Champions League football next season before I make my move. I need to see what's happening. I don't want to come to Manchester United. I don't want to commit to Manchester United yet because I want to see what they're going to be doing next season. I get it. I get it in a way, like it has gone that way, and you are looking after yourself, so you can't really blame him for that. But there used to be a time when like you needed to actually have proven yourself season after season after season before demands like this came around. And like I said before, like the price for Delap is right. That's a good deal, and maybe this is why he's being so picky with where he moves. But players these days, I like Delap at that price because of what he's done. He hasn't proved anything yet. I've said this all along. Like I understand the deal because of the package. I like what he's done. One season in, he looks good. He is a good player. And he has had one season in the Premier League. And what he's done has been very, very good in my opinion. But it just makes me laugh sometimes how players feel like they can actually demand so much because they've had one good season. And it's not even the players, it's the agents, isn't it? And this is what Rashford's problem's always been. Adam, don't you think that if Rashford comes back, that the owners are thinking to get rid of Amorim? No. Not a chance. Rashford has to go before Amorim. If Rashford outlasts Amorim and some crazy scenario turns around where Amorim has gone and Rashford is still here, then I think it's time for everybody to give up. It really is. That would be the nail in the coffin for me. If Rashford outlasts another manager, particularly Ruben Amorim. Honestly, I am praying, I am touching every piece of wood or every lucky charm that I could possibly get that we just managed to get Rashford out of the door permanently. Because if he comes back again under another manager, then it will just be the end of Manchester United. It really will. It is proof that these players just have been running Manchester United and these agents have been running this football club. It's like, for instance, the SEG story around Ten Hag and them running Carrington, waltzing around the Carrington premises like they own the place. Like honestly, that story about Brobbey from last night that we spoke about was exactly what Manchester United were. And I am hoping and I'm praying that Ineos are going to implement the changes necessary this summer. And we don't have these sagas again. I really do. Rashford wanted Barca, ended up with Villa, asked for caviar and ended up with Turkey Dinosaur. Yeah, I just like the way that one sounds, to be honest, with the dinosaurs. But I think I'd agree with you on that one, Ricardo. If I like Firmin. Where is the Ricardo one? I didn't see it. Sorry, somebody else talking to somebody else in the chat there. I've just picked up on. Amorim hasn't done himself any favours with results or performances with the squad. Let's be honest. No, but I think everybody. Right, you look at this. This is where I've balanced it with Ruben. Before we quickly move on. Ruben Amorim has come in and has said that he isn't going to change. And this team has to adapt to him. He's not going to adapt to this team. Simple as. Everybody at Manchester United, everybody in the fan base have been crying out for this to happen for years. For years. And you know you have. And then results have been horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So, if Manchester United somehow get through a season still and manage to make these changes in the summer, would we not look back on this season and what Ruben Amorim did and laud him as the one manager that did stand up to the norm at Manchester United, which was managers bowing down to the players and the player power FC that was Manchester United, the inmates that were running the asylum. This is what it was, but Ruben stood up to it. And this is why I'm like I said before, I'm literally holding on to any lucky charm, touching any piece of wood or any pre-match ritual or anything that brings any sort of luck. Just praying that this works out for Ruben Amorim, because it will be that moment in Manchester United's history where everything did change for the better. If it doesn't and Ruben fails next season, I'm going to be honest, I'll be really, really concerned. Really concerned, because he has said everything right. He has clearly got a plan and he knows what he wants to do. And these players have failed to even come under Ruben and get anything and make anything happen. They've failed to follow the guidance of Ruben Amorim because they are not good enough. And we wanted somebody to out these players. And Ruben, without doing it and speaking about it, has done it. He has clearly done it. So now Ruben has done his job in a way. And it doesn't sound right me saying that, but just hear me out on this. Ruben has done his job because he's come in and he's stuck to what he believes in. And these players have failed and proved that what everybody was saying, and I said for the last 5 to 10 years, have not been good enough. And United need to change. We also said we need to change the structure. We needed a proper transfer structure and a transfer plan in place. It looks like we've got that now. So this is it. This is the moment. This is everything now leading up to Manchester United's future. Ruben has done his bit. If we get the Champions League, it's a bleeding miracle. It really is. But Ineos now, in situ at United, have to act on what Ruben has done. Otherwise, it's done. We are finished. We cannot go back to how it was. And this is the only hope that I've got, really, in everything that's happening right now, in that Ineos do back Ruben this summer. Don't judge Amorim if he hasn't had a full summer and second season. Judge Ange at Spurs, not Amorim. Look, if we get to the same stage of next season and things are exactly the same at Manchester United, Ruben is gone. He is fully gone, because he would have had 3 transfer windows. Yes, albeit 2 of them January transfer windows, and they really don't count. And to be honest, I would like to give managers 2 summer transfer windows, but I know the demand for Manchester United right now is that if Ruben is in the same place we are now next season, he's gone. He probably wouldn't even get to this stage. If United are where we are, bottom half of the table, Ruben Amorim won't survive next season. I can tell you that. I'm 100% confident that that is what will happen. That's why this summer, and why Ruben has said every single press conference and every interview, it is imperative that we don't make the mistakes and we make sure that we get the right decisions in at Manchester United. That's the first section done. Antony and Rashford problems for Manchester United. And it is a case of Ruben, like I said, done his bit. What are you going to do, Ineos? You need to make this work. Are the cuts on what we've done within the Manchester United's workforce enough to cover the ineptitude and the crap management of Manchester United from the last 10 years? Can Ineos make something happen from this? That's the question that is going to be asked and answered. If not, this summer, then we're in trouble. Moving on to other news and what is happening. Fabrizio Romano last night, I'm moving into the positives now. I do like to try and be positive. I do. You all know that. And by the way, everybody, thank you for all the likes that are in on the video already. If you love the content, pop it a thumbs up. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you have that subscribe button as well. All right, so moving on to the other news. And we talked in depth yesterday about the situation with Franco Mastantuono from River Plate. Now, we knew that Real Madrid, according to sources, and PSG were in for Franco Mastantuono, but they have got, like someone said in the comment section yesterday, the monopoly on all of this type of transfer activity. It's about time somebody broke the mould. Manchester United had to come in and spend money if they wanted to break the mould. Now, Fabrizio Romano has come out on this, which is a good update for Manchester United, I feel. But what he said, I think, is significant because he has come out and said that it is an open sale. Like, anybody can take Mastantuono. Any one of the clubs that are involved or talking to River Plate can take him. Now, with Manchester United's movement and how we have been progressing through the market and what looks like a clear plan of getting younger players in, it moves United to the top of that list. But what else? So something else that Romano said was significant is that Real Madrid are not in at this stage. And it's exactly what I said yesterday. Real Madrid will not bid for Mastantuono. They will not do it. They won't spend money on a player like that. They would hope that their negotiations and agents and everybody in on this deal and scouts and recruitment team would get him convinced and convince him that he can wait out until the end of his contract, which is December 2026. So a year in December, his contract ends anyway. He renewed his contract at River Plate in 2024 before PSG and Real Madrid, Barcelona, AC Milan and a lot of other clubs came in and took him away. So they renewed it by 2 years, but added the £38 million release clause in. So if anybody wanted to come and take him, and it's very clever business from River Plate, they had to pay that money. Now, Romano has said last night that it has to be paid. The only way Mastantuono moves is if someone puts 38 million on the table. Madrid won't do it. And Romano has said that they are not in negotiations for Mastantuono. They won't go near that. Like Lenny Yoro, this is what moves Real Madrid out of it. They are clever, conniving, sneaky, and they know how to get this done. And when somebody said yesterday, it was exactly right. They have had the monopoly of this area of the transfer market for years. They get into clubs and players at them clubs early, give them the promise and the world if you wait it out. And they do this with players. You look at Alaba, you look at Rudiger, you look at what they're doing with Trent Alexander-Arnold, you look at Mbappe. Didn't pay a bean. Yes, you've got the signing on fees and everything like that, but they can structure them deals to work for them. They try to get into these players to not spend a big transfer fee. They try to use the lure of Real Madrid and the glory that that football club is to get them players in. Now, PSG have been mimicking this and getting the best young talent in from all over the world as well. Now, whether or not they're willing to spend 38 million on someone like Mastantuono, then we don't know yet. But Manchester United are. And that's how United get in on this scene. They have to spend that money. Now, United are not afraid to spend money on talent that they feel could be there for generations to come. Not generation, there for years to come. Generations, God. But this is I'll use generation now actually. This is a generational talent in Mastantuono. He is absolute mustard. He is brilliant. And this is why everybody wants him. But nobody's willing to pay this money. And River Plate know this. It is very, very, very clever business from them. And like what Romano said, it's exactly what I thought would happen. In that Manchester United right now are in the better position. But have we got the funds to actually spend that amount of money on a player that is 17 with that lack of experience? I said this in yesterday morning show. But right now, it is all coming down to the Europa League and winning it. And Manchester United getting Mastantuono and Delap and Gyökeres and all of these other players. Like, Cunha aside, he's done. Doesn't matter. Everybody else of significance does look like it's coming down to Champions League. Either for the funds that brings for us to spend and the player actually wanting to compete at a certain level. That's where we're at. Mastantuono, Manchester United might be able to get if we don't get Champions League football, because we cannot afford. Sorry, we cannot get Delap and Gyökeres because they want European football. So Mastantuono could creep in towards the back end of the summer transfer window for Manchester United. It won't please many fans because we haven't got the here and now ready to go. You could argue that he might feature, but again, it's another player in the area of a pitch that Manchester United already have somebody in, and then we would have to sell somebody else, like a Garnacho. So that was significant for me in what Romano said yesterday, and that Madrid are out, because it says exactly what I was saying. They won't pay the money. Are United willing to enter this realm like they did with Lenny Yoro, an 18-year-old centre-back now that looks like he is going to be worth that money? You spend 38 million and this kid turns out to be what everybody is saying. It looks like Manchester United have pulled off the deal of the century. But then again, it's the fear of it going wrong and that money being spent in such a crucial summer like we've just described for Ruben Amorim now, and how deals have to be right. A 17-year-old to turn United around doesn't sound like it's right for United at the moment. And again, tomorrow night, the Europa League, it's absolutely huge. It really is. I'm going to get some more comments on that one now. Ryan says, do you think Acuna's work rate could be an issue? No, I don't. I want this. I want this type of player in at Manchester United. Work rate, for me, works in certain ways. Like, people can hide away. People can hide away with work rate. All the stats, all the statisticians, the analysts, everything like that, they'll all have the vests on and they'll be all monitoring how many kilometres a player has worked or what a player has done. It's using that work rate and having the footballing IQ and nous and know-how when to use that money, when to use that work rate, when to use your energy. You have to be clever. Like, people can look at players like Bruno and look, that's just what Bruno's game is. He does not stop. He has energy to burn, so he can carry on doing that game after game after game. You'll have other players, like Rashford did this all of the time. He went hiding. He ran when he didn't need to run. And that, I think, is how you manage it. I think we've got a player who is, I think he's got the right football intelligence to work for Manchester United. And I think Ruben knows what he brings, how he uses that quality, and I think that's the key, is finding a player who can adapt to the workload and what Manchester United are going to be playing in next season and not completely burn out. The fact that Cunha has been available for the majority of the season tells you that he knows his body, he knows what he has to do, and has been available for nearly every single game for Wolves this season. He's on plus 40 odd games, and they haven't been in Europe. They haven't gone far in the League Cup, and they haven't gone too far in the FA Cup either. So look at that Cunha has been available for every single game near enough. I think that isn't a concern for Man United. There is no issue with his work rate and what he is. The characteristics and that leadership quality and something else that he brings is what United are looking at probably more than anything else. Cunha is one of the best defensive players in his position. He understands his role and understands the formation. That's why he's coming in. Chris says, happy birthday to Gray as well. Thank you for that. Anyone who is wishing Gray, the super mod there, a happy birthday, thank you. Hello to all the mods in the chat as well. I can see loads of you in there. Joe, Stu, We Compete, Realist as well. Stephanie in there doing a great job there. Thank you again, guys. If you think about how many times Rashford and Eriksen have been overrun and cost us goals, yep, definitely, Ryan. We are Manchester United. We shouldn't be scared to play a 16/17-year-old if the talent is there. We could do with it. We could have done with it in the past. What's changed? Well, the need for perfection right now for Ruben Amorim in these transfers is what's changed. Because of everything that's gone wrong, this transfer window is going to be under the spotlight more than ever for Manchester United. And that's what's changed, I think. We need to be 100% on these players. And that, I think, is key in all of this. No problem, Ryan. Cheers for that, mate. Genghis says, when Cunha runs and presses, he does it with intent, unless Rashford, unlike Rashford, I think he's supposed to say it, with his little fake hop, skip and a jump trot. I know exactly what you mean by that there, mate. I really do. Oculus says, I view Mount as an 8 next season. I don't think he can play an 8. I really don't. He can fill in the 10s, but his energy and work rate would suit the 8 role for Amorim. I think we've tried Mount in the 8 before. I think Bruno's more likely to play an 8 if we don't buy one, that is. Maybe you could say he's cover. I get that comment there. Of course, I think that is something that he could do. In Mason Mount, that is. I think he has got that in his locker. The problem is culture, not talent. Rio Ferdinand said it. We need characters. We need players that are going to change how Manchester United think. And you look at the cultures around all of the football clubs at the top right now. Your togetherness behind the managers like Eddie Howe's got at Newcastle. Like Pep's got, obviously. Pep Guardiola spent a fortune because his system has actually failed because he's lost one player. And he's lost a few players this summer through injury. But Rodri literally was the linchpin for him. But still, them players listen to what he wants. You look at what Nottingham Forest under Nuno are doing right now. That culture, that character, that belief in them players is different. Manchester United haven't got that, and you can see it. Everybody's playing for themselves, and that's the issue that we've got at Manchester United right now. Radcliffe should send a couple of us to scout Franco Mastantuono, who wants a free trip to Argentina. To be honest, Manchester United have heavily scouted Mastantuono. They have been an ever-present at games for the Argentinian 17-year-old. He is a player that United definitely want. And I think a decision will be made quite soon. And it's getting to that point right now where this was what River Plate had in mind, and it's starting to come now this summer because everybody can see what he's doing. Everybody's seen the highlight reels, the impact he's had, the amount of games he's playing at this age. It tells you that he's ready to come into a first team somewhere. And like we said a minute ago, if he's good enough, he's old enough. And United need to put the money down if they want him. Babs is in. Watched the Schmeichel documentary last night, and it makes you realise how very poor Onana is. I started watching a bit of it yesterday, Babs, actually. And yeah, in terms of what a winner is, that is Peter Schmeichel. I just don't think Onana has ever got it. Adam, if PSR on a 3-year cycle, we can spend loads. Buying in players under 60 million with low to average wages also benefits us with the SSR squad ratio rule. Yes, it does. After next year, don't need to sell to buy. We have funds for transfers. We do have funds for transfers, and all of the savings and cuts that Ineos have made to streamline Man United's finances are key. On that, actually, so Jim Radcliffe is going to announce this week, or United are going to announce this week, or let the scouts know exactly who is going to be leaving Manchester United. It's going down the data analysis road is where we're going right now. Necessarily, you need scouts out there to look at players, yes, but data analysis is the way that the football world is going. Not necessarily just scouts and people looking at players and giving their opinions. Data, that is everything. That's how Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, the football data revolution is what Manchester United are lacking and are far behind on compared to other clubs. They go out and scout and do the data analysis on players. It doesn't necessarily mean you need hundreds and hundreds of scouts out there looking at players, giving their opinions and reports on players. If you see the data analysis, you may go and scout a player and look at certain characteristics then, and it goes to the next level. But I think this is where Manchester United are moving. Other clubs are miles ahead of us. We've got more scouts than anybody out there networking right now, but we don't need all of them. You just need to look at the data. You need to look at everything that's there. And that's how other clubs have moved in the transfer market. We haven't. We are old school, ignorant, and feel like Manchester United would just carry the team and the squad forward for years. Like, we have got lazy with how we operate. And I think this is what all of the drastic changes that have been put in are actually going to change. And after a year on, after all of these changes, no one will be talking about the cuts. No one will be talking about what was necessary and how bad it was at Manchester United. If this starts to work out for us, everyone will look back on this and say, wow, Ineos really did change something at United. They were willing to take the stick and take the hit from all of the fans for doing what they seen was right. And if it does be, if it is proved right, then I think a lot of people will be changing their minds on what they were saying before about what Ineos had done this season in terms of everything that they've changed. And yes, the morale and the mood at Manchester United might be low right now, but if it was up and it was high and we were underperforming before, maybe this wasn't the right way to go. Honestly, only time will tell in all of this. What I've said there could be completely wrong as well. But we need to see this management system in place at United run for a few years before we can properly judge it, is what I'm saying. Because some of these players that we brought in now may just actually start turning up to be great players in a couple of years' time, and then we can really judge them. Antony will be loaned out again next season. PSR won't be an issue anymore, so an obligation can be put into the loan. Just do not a loan player to Chelsea. Don't see much of a problem with Rashford. But the situation with the squad ratio rule and that changing next season, not next season, the season after, definitely plays into Manchester United's hands, and you don't necessarily need to work deals in the way that we did before. PSR sort of faltered. So realistically, when you look at that also, then you look at Manchester United and you would say then actually this is a crucial summer to get the maximum that we can, because Ruben might not even get to the squad ratio rule set up and Manchester United be able to really back him. And that, I think, is why this summer is really important as well. And I think United right now are probably looking at that and going, Ruben needs to at least be given a chance. Ruben has done nothing except lose us games. Well, not really. He's won more games in Europe than anybody else. We're unbeaten in Europe, and if we win the Europa League, he has kind of done something. But what he has also done is out these players for what they really are. He's dealt with Rashford. He loaned out Antony. He found a way to handle Casemiro. He is nurturing Mason Mount back through to a point where we're actually seeing more Mason Mount than we ever have. Yeah, obviously I would like to see him start games, but you look at what he has done at United, it's all towards getting into next season, and this is where we need to judge him. And don't get me wrong, like that comment coming up there from Alan, that's totally fine. Everyone's got their opinions on Ruben Amorim, and you can all come back at me next season and say, Adam, we told you. I just want to believe in something. I want to believe as a Man United fan that Ruben Amorim can turn this around. That's all. I know the negatives, they're there, I can see them. And I understand what everybody's saying. The results are not good enough for Man United. I just want to believe that everything that's gone on behind the scenes is going to make a massive impact on the pitch. And that, I think, is what I'm holding on to more than anything right now. Because my biggest fear is this failing and us going back. And like I said before, still having the likes of Marcus Rashford lingering around Manchester United and another manager gone. It's imperative that United get Rashford out of the door this summer. It really is. Super chat from Ross says, how many of the big three, Rashford, Antony, Garner, do you think will be able to sell on fees into their deals? We'll be able to get a sell-on fee into their deals. All of them. I think United will put them out. I mean, Antony, yes. Garnacho, 100% yes. Rashford coming to the end of his career. Are we really going to get any more money for Marcus Rashford over the age of 27, 28 next year? No. I don't think it's necessarily a sell-on for Marcus Rashford. His next move will be a 4 to 5 year contract, which will take him into his 30s. And then you're looking at minimal amounts, aren't you? So I don't think Marcus Rashford is necessarily a player that you would want to get more value on later down the line. I think it's the here and now, and he will be sold, and United will just deal with that. I don't think there's any sell. Garnacho, 100%, if sold, will have a sell-on clause in his contract. Maybe even a buyback for Manchester United. Because you know what? Down the line, if Garnacho is pulling up trees and playing in a system that suits him better than Amorim's, and Amorim is gone later down the line, United think about bringing Garnacho back, then you can always have that argument that Ruben really wasn't the right man, and Garnacho was a decent player, but this is the security that you've got with a football structure in place. They think of every situation happening in the future and not just the obvious and what's in front of them. Get a player over the line and sign someone. That's all it was for Manchester United before. And the recruitment was crap. But a football structure, a director of football, a recruitment team in place, look for every single different situation occurring into the future and put things in place that would give us a half a chance of making something out of it. That's the difference. That we didn't have that before. Now we've got that. Ray with a super chat. Thank you, Ray. Love that. You have to let Amorim have pre-season training and players to develop first. You can't bring a manager in the middle of a season expecting miracles. No, 100% agree with that super chat there. That is exactly what the situation is right now. We're expecting Ruben Amorim to perform miracles with a squad that has failed continuously at Manchester United for year after year after year. Ten Hag's players which have failed at Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's players have failed at Manchester United. Go back through. Like, we've got bloody Louis van Gaal players still at Manchester United and Jose Mourinho players still at Manchester United. When will this club learn? And everybody has been moaning about that for years and years and years. And now we've got something in place that actually looks like they're going to counter that and actually go in on that. I think we should be excited for the change that is coming at United. Right, Markesh says, opinions like buttholes. Everyone has one. Most stink. Amorim done nothing. ? Porsche with a Kia engine needs stripping, rebuilding. No money till payday. Though. That's Man United. Analogy Central right there. Like it. Cheers, Markesh. He is completely up against it. He really is, and I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I don't. But hey, look. Other news as well in terms of transfers, just to keep you up to date on things. Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace has been rumoured to be a target for Manchester United. Is actually being looked at. And Jean-Philippe Mateta from Crystal Palace. Eze wouldn't move to Manchester United. He would prefer a move to Liverpool, is the word coming out. Now, obviously, Liverpool's situation around possibly Núñez and Diaz leaving could develop that one there, and that's why that story's there. But he doesn't want to come to United. Look, I think we would get slapped with a price tag, with the price for him anyway. I don't think that's the right move for Manchester United. I would like Eze. I think he's a good player. I think he's a game-changing player. Mateta, 40 million. He's not a £40 million player. But again, it's his Premier League tax and Man United tax and the situation we're in and the worrying situation that we're in if we don't make Champions League football is that you're looking at a player there that has had, a season and a half, decent season, and not scored many goals for Crystal Palace. And then you're looking at 40 million for him, maybe even more from Crystal Palace. If we don't get Champions League football, that might be the type of player we have to go for. Whereas if we get Champions League football, we can get a deal like 58 million for Victor Gyökeres. That's the situation, and that's the difference in Manchester United's summer coming up right now. And I think that when you look at it, puts everything into perspective. Again, win the Europa League, and this window becomes an absolute free-for-all for Manchester United, and every option's open. We don't, and we're dealing with being ripped off by Premier League clubs for strikers that really probably aren't what we wanted in the first place. And then it's very difficult for United. Expectation levels drop a little bit again, don't they? And that's really... You could say the other side to that is, well, United will then be forced into selling these players, and we will be getting rid of the crap that has really hampered us over the last 10 years. That could be a positive that you take out of that. There is a story going around, I think, from Football Insider as well, saying that Manchester United have decided that Jan Oblak is Manchester United's goalkeeping target, and that's the player we want to replace Andre Onana. I'm just going to tell you straight now, that will never happen. United will not be able to buy Oblak from Atletico. So if you see that story, don't even take any notice of it. There is not a chance in hell. And I'm confident in saying that as well, because yes, he's 32. Maybe Atletico want to cash in on him or something like that. You don't cash in on Oblak. I'm sorry. And there's no way that Simeone would get rid of him either. 32 for a keeper is young. Oblak has still got another 3 years plus on his contract at Atletico as well. United will not be buying Oblak. They won't. By the way, Vitek's form over in Austria is still being noticed as well. Still performing well at the moment. I think a few of Manchester United loanees right now are doing okay. Obviously, the big ones are Sancho, Rashford and Antony that we're looking at right now. Not many of the academy players are really doing too good. I would say okay to average at best. We've talked about that before. A bit disappointing, to be honest. But yeah, again, in terms of players that could possibly be coming back that make an impact, Vitek is the only one I'm mentioning simply because I think it is an area of the pitch that United need to be looking at. We spoke yesterday about Heaton getting a new contract. I don't see any point in Heaton getting a contract. It should be an academy player. And I love Tom. He's a great lad. But again, I think even he knows he's lucky at the moment. I just don't see why Manchester United would want to do that. But I think Vitek's form on loan has caught the eye and could be something that develops through the summer. That's it in terms of loan players coming back that I think could feature for Manchester United next season. I don't see anybody else from the academy featuring for Manchester United. We will see how it develops in the summer, obviously, but it is going to be, I think, a bit of an exodus. I think it's going to be a cutthroat summer from Manchester United in terms of players leaving. Oh, Malacia as well, it's like Tomo says there in the chat. God, man, what a waste of time. Absolute joke. But yeah, Malacia off. I think he will be sold on for minimal money. I think United don't need to. I think we only spent about 12 million, 13 million for Tyrell Malacia. So I think Manchester United are in a comfortable position PSR wise. Even if we sold him for the likes of like 5 to 7 million, I think United would still turn a tiny profit on him. So he's another player off the books and gone from Manchester United. He will not be playing for United next season. He's just not good enough. Especially not for Ruben Amorim and what he wants anyway. So you could say, yeah, the loanees, the key first-team players, Malacia, Sancho, Rashford and Antony will not be playing for United next summer. The big question is, like we said at the top of the show, how much money can Manchester United get out of them deals this summer? Or are some of them going to have to be loans again for Manchester United just to keep them off the books? Massive thank you to everybody who has liked the video already. We're about to hit the 300 live like mark. So if you haven't and you've loved the video, please drop a like on it, everybody. Make sure that you also hit that subscribe button as well. That'll be on your screen now if you're catching up later on. And get your comments in below. Talk to me. What do you think about the Rashford and Antony situation? Can you see them being sold, or can you see both players ending up going on loans again next summer and United not making any money at all? That's the question I'm asking in this one. Drop your comments in, like I said. Give the video a like on the way out. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV. Happy birthday, Mod Gray, again before we leave. And thank you to all of the mods in the chat this morning looking after it. Everyone who donated and super chats. And yeah, welcome to Forever United TV if you have just subscribed. See you in a bit, everybody. I'll have you fully updated later on this evening. If anything does break in the day, I'll have that covered as well.